No way that just happened. If my jewelry is done leaving my body. What is up, y'all? Welcome back. Welcome back to a video I do once a year. If you are unfamiliar with trends that we are leaving in 2023, this is actually a video series that was started by Jackie Aina long ago, many moons ago, and when she said that she didn't want to do it anymore, she was like, I leave it open to whoever wants to do it, you know? And I was just like, me! I'm the star! She meant me. And so I've been doing it ever since. I do not do it as chaotically. I know that's hard for some people to believe that she is actually more chaotic than I am, but those videos, if you go back and watch them, they are off the charts chaotic. Mine aren't quite as chaotic, and I take submissions from y'all because I don't know. I think that like the beauty trends that were trends, you know, 5-6 years ago, they were slower to come and easier to identify, whereas now we're just being beaten upside the head by them. They're just so rapidly evolving, coming and going through mostly TikTok. So I did ask for submissions from y'all. Some of them fight one another, which is very exciting for me. Either way, we're just going to go through the things that y'all submitted and my feelings on them, but I'm gonna try and like almost keep my feelings out of it as much as possible because I want this to be the airing of the grievances for y'all so that you can, you know, feel like you have a cleansed spirit going into 2024, and hopefully we're putting some things into the universe that like we're sick of seeing, and maybe the TikTok-averse of it all will iterate further. You know that they will. So anyway, let's go ahead and jump into trends, beauty trends specifically, that we are leaving in 2023, hopefully. And when I say that I borrowed this from Jackie Aina with permission, I also, you know, tag any other creator who wants to do it. It's not like, I am now the sole owner of this theme of video. It's like, no, go off. Like, I'd love to see everybody do it. All right. I want to go ahead and crack into the reinvention of all of the 90s trends. That is the thing that I feel like people really want to leave behind, and I think it is probably specific to the age group that I am in and older, and tends to be the age group that follows me. I don't want to say that there aren't like Gen Z people following me, and I'm very grateful for you for thinking that I am cool. I really appreciate you, I really do. Even if you're calling me mother in the comments, like, I am a mother, absolutely. But it is a lot of us who lived the 90s, okay, that are watching it all come back, and we're like, I feel like my mother when platform shoes came back when I was in like the 3rd grade, and she was like, this again? Really? This is what we're doing? And I think that the nuance of it is the fact that when we talk about these trends coming back, it's almost never better in our eyes than it was when it happened to us. For whatever reason, you think that they're going to improve on it when they reinvent it the 2nd time around or the 3rd time around or whatever, because it's cycling so quickly now. The fact is, a lot of times the trends come back around and you're like, that's what you chose to retrieve from the 90s? We're not dressing like Cher Horowitz. We're dressing like Jinkos, you know what I mean? And like bringing back those little tendrily bangs. Like stiffened, you know? And we're bringing back the lip liner that is super, super dark in contrast with the lip gloss. And also, I feel like as far as like the people who like the community I surround myself with, the content that I watch online, and the beauty inspiration that inspires me lately, it has always been moving towards less is more and something towards effortlessness. It's like, how can I get more for less effort? And let me just say, the youths really have a lot more energy, don't they? They really have more energy to make it harder for themselves, and so they are willing to come toe-to-toe with some of the trends that I feel like are just too much work for what it is that we're trying to accomplish here. Like, I'm gonna let my brows be, thank you very much. Guess what? Tweezing them into an oblivion, which is what we did in the 90s and the early 2000s to look like Gwen Stefani or Jewel or whoever, it's a lot of work. Because it's like you're leaving about 5% of your eyebrows, and thank God mine grew back. Some people were not so lucky. I'm sure that I will get those lamentations in the comments because sometimes hair just quits on you. It's a cautionary tale, y'all. If there are any Gen Z people, if you're speaking for your generation, tell them not to, because there will come a day when you want your eyebrows back. And sometimes they won't come. Okay? Trying to be a little bit more forward thinking about maybe the fact that like someday you'll be 36 and be glad that your eyebrows are still there. But to me, I have to agree, there's nothing more high maintenance than putting on like a pile of matte makeup and having to maintain a lip line and having to maintain a whole bunch of like thin eyebrow nonsense and like drawing everything back on in all of these kind of creative ways. And like, if y'all have the energy for it, absolutely. But I get it. Millennials and beyond, I get it. When we look at it, we just shiver. We're just like, oh God, not again, you know, because there were things that we did right, okay? There were things that like, even I'm a little bit too young to like really appreciate in terms of fashion, like especially from the 90s, because I was, you know, 13 at the turn of the century. They love to call us people from the late 1900s, and to that I say, you can just go off, queen. I will say, we are proud as olds that we have already worked through these things and worked past them. If you ever want to see a retelling of my life story, just go watch Pen 15. That show is actually about me. It is. It's like sadly about me. But also, I have a message for Gen Z. You're gonna be old soon. That Gen Alpha, whoo, they're gonna eat your lunch. They're gonna be like, really? You're out here doing TikTok dances? That's so cringe. Even Emma Chamberlain is gonna be old soon. So, settle in, baby! It's actually a really nice world on the other side, where we just stop caring. It's fantastic. Buying the e.l.f. dupe for every on-trend product. They said not because they're bad, but because there's no novelty or nuance in it. This is something that Tom and I have talked about extensively on the podcast lately, is the difference between the beauty community that we inherited and the beauty community as it exists now and is going to exist in the future, because the big change was there used to be a lot of beauty creators making a lot of content about very little makeup. And so the things that we could talk about in terms of what made makeup high quality, there was a pretty limited bouquet, right? It was a pretty limited glossary. It was like, is it pigmented? Is it inexpensive? Is it something that is going to help you like achieve an all day wearing kind of look, regardless of your skin type, regardless of what you wanted to look like? It was just like, this is the makeup that you get. And over the years, you know, 10 years or so, 10, 13, something like that, since YouTube started, we've seen beauty companies come up to meet that demand, and so much more makeup exists, so many more brands exist, but such different and diverse makeup exists, and iron sharpens iron. The quality has just had to continue to improve. We're not talking about 35O palettes anymore from Morphe, like that's kind of a joke at this point, although if you do dip a tenuous toe into TikTok, you will find the youths repeating exactly what we did. But Tom really shattered my reality when we were talking about it on the podcast, because I said something like, if I had, and I said this in a video recently, if I had a brain, right, I would go on TikTok right now and recreate the viral series that made Tati's channel blow up, which was called WTF. It was her basically going and buying the most expensive makeup that she could find and then testing it, and people were genuinely shocked that makeup cost that much, even though these were luxury brands that had existed for a long time. Now, Tom pointed out, no one is surprised. No one is surprised that Hermes is going to make a lipstick that's $80 and that it's an exquisite piece of art, and that whether that is something that appeals to you in the grand scheme of things is beside the point. It's the fact that it does appeal to someone, and that the luxury is there, and that that's worth it to someone, and that makeup is allowed to be expensive, and that we're willing to buy it because we want the full experience, those of us who are out there being, you know, luxury beauty lovers. So truly, that series wouldn't work anymore. At least not on YouTube, probably not even on TikTok, because everybody's like, well, duh. Like, I know that that exists. Like, I know that those beauty companies are making these things that are really wildly expensive, and I know that that's for someone. But the way that beauty companies, especially the ones that are inexpensive, have been latching onto this and really trying to monetize that TikTok effect is by taking things that are that luxury price point and making them affordable, not just so that they're more attainable to to consumers who have less dispensable income that are watching on TikTok, which now of course you can buy straight from the TikTok video. I sound old. I sound like such a parent. I'm like, you can buy straight from the chat room, you know, but it is, especially from my point of view, very exhausting because it's just this endless loop of, is it as good as the other product? Which, if it's what you can afford, I hope so, because that's what you are gonna go buy anyway. You're not gonna go buy the Charlotte Tilbury Hollywood Flawless filter just because it might be a certain percentage like better than the e.l.f. dupe version. You're gonna buy the one you can afford. And meanwhile, it's all the TikTok creators who are like, are they the same? I mean, YouTube creators too, that saying like, you know, is the dupe as good? And it's like, it's easy to be cynical because we're looking at someone like e.l.f. who is literally making their entire business based on copying other people's products, and that's really tacky. I just think that that's by and large extraordinarily tacky. It sucks that it works because you know the people in that boardroom are sitting there being like, you know, that's an uninspiring way to make makeup too, but it's kind of the world we live in. It's a mirror, isn't it? The way that like that industry kind of like self-perpetuates, wanting not an inexpensive piece of makeup that's good, but an inexpensive piece of makeup that is an impersonation of a higher end piece of makeup. I get what you're saying, but like it's exhausting. I got a lot of responses about pH adjusting things, and y'all know, regardless of whether my opinion matters on any of these other topics, you know that that's one that I agree with. Here's the thing with pH color changing products. I learned this while I was formulating my products with Finding Ferdinand, because Abigail is like the, you know, head formulator. She's amazing with pigment and everything. And the way that she explained it to me is that it is one pigment, which we all knew this, but the way that it works is they put a pH neutralizer into the formula that makes the pH of that product like different so that it doesn't show up in the tube, but that the actual like true nature of it, it's not that it's color changing, it's that it's actually color changed in the tube. It's been like color changed to clear in the tube, and then it returns to its natural color, its true nature, once it readjusts to a natural pH on your skin or on your lips. And it's not a mood ring. It's not adaptive. It's literally one color. So all the smoke and mirrors, all of the claims, I don't know. I think that explanation, it probably won't land with some people. They'll be like, yeah, duh, like what's the difference between it being different in the tube or different on my lips kind of thing. For me, that landed where I was like, the trickery is in the tube. It's not changing on your lips, it changed in the tube. Like to me, that's the difference that says to me that is one color and it is hot pink, and it doesn't matter what color the actual product is in your Winky Lux or your Tarte Maracuja, like it's going to always turn hot pink on you. So don't be fooled. If you don't look good in hot pink, then don't buy them. And if you do look good in hot pink, buy one. It doesn't matter what color. And if you look good in hot pink, buy hot pink. Yenza has a beautiful hot pink lip gloss that looks better than any pH one that I've ever used. There are a couple that kind of hit me sideways, but that's because beauty now is post-trend. I mean, yes, we are really trying to trend. We are just trying to trend with the best of them. And I will say, this is a little sidebar. Hopefully I'll make my way back to the original point, but ADHD is taking the wheel right now, and I'm just going to let her. I think that, and I mean, I'm pretty sure you could draw some, it's certainly not my own like exclusive hot take. I'm sure someone has already made this observation, but like, when you see TikTok explode with a certain kind of makeup, when you know, donut skin or latte makeup, which, you know, some of them appeal to me, right? All of these things are very easy to like, but then you will notice that it comes right before a release from usually the person that made it popular in the first place. So latte makeup, you know, then Rhode put out a bunch of latte makeup. Donut skin, the glazing fluid. Don't underestimate the amount of influence someone like Hailey Bieber has on the algorithm. Same thing goes with Sophia Richie, and I mean, God, you know, who knows? There are other people too, but I think that a lot of these trends that everybody's like, oh, they last 2 seconds, whatever, and they're given some kind of name and it's a reinvention of something we already did, etc., etc. Shocking to absolutely no one, it's here to sell you makeup. And it's here to sell you specific makeup from a specific brand usually, and it's people who have influence on TikTok. And you know what? it works because the people who are watching TikTok, especially the beauty space, especially the ones who are kind of driving the algorithmic changes, are people who have lots of time to be on their phones and who really look up to celebrities. And who's that? The youths, the very young people who are, you know, actually looking to TikTok for beauty advice, which, by the way, if I can, you can't get beauty advice in that small of a format. I'm sorry, like you're never gonna find out whether a product is actually good. But those are the people who are driving that purchasing power, and they weren't here when we did it the first time. And they can't be held responsible for that. This is the first time that these young kids are seeing these trends. And so we're sitting here going, oh my God, really? Like hook, line, and sinker, we're gonna buy this all over again? Buy it in terms of like accepting it and buy it in terms of trading our money for it. And the answer is yes. Because why would a young person, a person who's, you know, 14, 15, be a student of the nuances of how Jaclyn Hill or Nikki Tutorials or Manny MUA sold us makeup back in the day? Like, why would they care about that? They literally by nature don't. They're not going to. And so the thing that I am going to return to now that someone submitted was, you know, the super, super dewy skin. I'm a big fan of super dewy skin because, and they said to the point of looking sweaty or whatever. I'm a fan of super dewy skin because it only lasts about 10 minutes on me and then my skin like absorbs it and is like, yay, awesome, fantastic. I love a glow. I'm a dewy queen. And the thing is, I like that it came back around, but at the same time, things aren't really coming back around. They're just kind of here. The illusion of trends is, like I said, Hailey Bieber, Sophia Richie telling you something is cool so that you'll go and buy their thing, but everything is happening all at once. It's just kind of this big universe of like static influence. It's just everything is influencing everything else. And so when you say like you're tired of seeing it, then you don't have to see it anymore because there are just as many creators out there who are doing nuanced matte looks because they have your skin type and don't want super dewy, sweaty looking skin either. And I know that this whole video is talking about like trends we're leaving behind kind of thing, but I think that that's specifically a different kind of thing because it's complexion. You know, it has to do so much with your skin type. It's not just kind of an editorialized idea of like drawing something onto your face, a color, a shape, whatever. It's a texture. And so I think that that has to do with our like skin types and our skin wants. And in that sense, I do feel like we're kind of post-trend. The similes that y'all offered in terms of hating the really heavy eyelash extensions, fake eyelashes that look like car snow brushes. For the love of God, let it be eyelash extensions, tarantula eyes. The giant moth-like eyelashes. Y'all are poets. Y'all are hilarious. I don't want to yuck anyone's yum. You know, people are talking about the ones that really are like a thick, all the way across, all the same size, all the same length kind of thing that's just like glued on. There's a reason that fake eyelashes, when you buy them, are lots of different lengths, and you know why people have them made out of mink and things like that is because they want them to look, even if they're not natural looking, they want them to look organic, and there's something very unorganic about that because it is such a harsh line, and our faces don't make a lot of harsh lines on their own. To some people, they really do like the accentuation and almost the contrast of it, and they don't want it to look natural, but I get it. It's the same reason that I don't do liquid eyeliner on myself, is just because I am naturally like this. The first thing my eye goes to is like, whoa, that's a really high contrast like block of something on the face, and like my skin doesn't really do a lot of high contrast blocks naturally. We don't have a lot of harsh lines on our faces naturally. So that's why it kind of makes you bristle. People really hate gigantic eyebrows. This is the one where I was saying like some of them clash. Like there are people who are like the C eyebrows, like they're coming back, like the C-shaped, sperm-shaped eyebrows of people over tweezing. And then there's people who are like really anti. They're like, no, when you like comb them all the way up and they look like over laminated. I love it. I'm not going to do it myself, but I love it. I think it looks so cool. I'm sure that you could find a version of it, and I should have encouraged y'all to send photos, because you can send photos in the submissions on Instagram stories for these things. Like I would have loved to see what y'all had in mind. But this to me is part of this like no makeup aesthetic that I personally love, because it took the no makeup, which some people are like, I'm over no makeup. Good for you. You know what I mean? Like if you've got the energy and the effort to put into like makeup, I think that that is fantastic. I love to see your work. You know what I mean? I love to see people painting on their eyes and things like that. I love it. It's just not really for me. But something else that people really complained about is faux freckles. These things tend to kind of make people bristle. And it's interesting to me because what I see it as I've kind of been part of the beauty community and, you know, been, I don't know, like a student of trends, as it were, for a lot of years now, is I've seen no makeup as a rebellion against the full face, right? The full beat that we were seeing very much pushed in the beginning of beauty YouTube, because you're under all these lights and theatrical makeup looks really good under those lights, but it looks pretty wild in person, okay? So the rebellion against that was to go all the way to the other end of the scale, which is to, you know, use makeup to enhance, but to really do it as minimally as possible and like almost so that you wouldn't even notice it. And then people started to, and it's honestly one of my favorite ways to watch any kind of trend evolve, is to take that and then kind of turn the volume up on it. So it's like the few features that you are actually accentuating on your face with no makeup to make them more extreme. So you take something that would naturally show if you weren't wearing any makeup, which is like your freckles, if you have them, but you're more than welcome to draw them on if you don't, and you make it more. And then you take your eyebrows, the thing that is just like gonna exist on your face. For some of us, I understand that not all of us naturally have abundant eyebrows, but for a lot of us, the people who do have, you know, pretty abundant eyebrows naturally, that's going to be the thing that you wake up and it's there. And so it's there whether you like it or not, unless you're Tom and you just shave them off. But that look then becomes something that you take more and more and more to the extreme. And so, you know, no, I'm not going to go the full Jess Hunt and use 3 or 4 different products to like make them huge, but I love her look on her. She is the owner of Refi. So like, you know, she does a lot of things that I wouldn't necessarily do. Like she uses exclusively warm toned makeup, even if she's contouring. It's not my personal preference. Like I like to be able to work with color theory, but I love that she takes this bare face look and then she says, I'm going to take each item that is visible in a no makeup look and push it to the extreme. And I think that it makes something really artistic and interesting, and I love seeing the way that beauty has evolved in that respect, and I personally love the look of it. I think it looks really cool, and it's something that, I'm not gonna say that Jess Hunt's look looks incredibly the same in person. I don't know if it does, but I think that like when you're working with that many warm tones, sometimes it could look a little bit strange in different lighting situations because you can't control that when you're, you know, not on camera. Maybe it does look totally awesome in person as well. It might, but I do think that it has one of the unique distinctions, the idea of kind of like, you know, blowing out the eyebrow, you know, doing a little bit more, like maybe even like, you know, faux placement lashes or something on a no makeup look, or like faux freckles that you manage to make look natural. It's one of those things that like, when you see it in person, it's not a shocking jump scare difference from how it appeared on camera. In fact, I think sometimes those looks look better in person than they do on camera. All that like shiny dewy skin and things like that. A lot of times when you're seeing that beauty creators are putting it on camera, it's a courageous thing to do because cameras and lighting are not kind to dewy skin. It tends to really show the sockets underneath your eyes. It tends to kind of expose all the contours of your face in a way that isn't always flattering. And I promise you, like, and I always try and build it in when I'm doing those kinds of looks, it's just one of those things that does actually look a lot better in person than it does on camera. And so cushion your judgment in that respect, because there are a lot of us out there, and I'm not trying to like garner sympathy. Oh my gosh, like, you know, me and my dry skin. But like there are some of us where like that dewy skin lasts about 5 minutes and then it just looks normal for the rest of the day, but we need the Ciate Dewy Skin Primer just to like put life into our skin first and foremost. I like this one, viewing each other as competition instead of community. So this is huge for me. I am a 2 cakes philosophy kind of person. The 2 cakes philosophy to me is, as an artist, you bring your cake to the party and some other artist brings their cake to the party. And the cake is beautiful and professional and immaculately finished, and yours looks good, but it's like homemade, and you're just like, oh, my cake is not as good as theirs. And then the spectator, the viewer, shows up and goes, fuck yeah, 2 cakes. They just like more cake. And something that I have always felt really strongly about in the beauty community is that like there's room for everyone. In fact, there's room for more than we have now. I think that the beauty community has really shrunken. shrunk. It shrank because the natural draw that like someone like Tati had outside of the platform, and she's not gone, she's just kind of weird now. She was able to pull people onto YouTube that weren't even on YouTube watching. You know, it wasn't that she was just monopolizing the people who were already trying to find videos to watch. It's that she was showing up in Google results and going viral in other ways and bringing people onto the platform. We have less of that now for a lot of different reasons. And I think a lot of that is a good thing. I mean, not that I think that, you know, I don't want people to be successful, but I also see the same patterns being repeated on TikTok of there's so much money changing hands and being thrown at people who have never owned their own business before, much less, you know, tried to manage these kinds of decisions against their own integrity, that they're willing to lie for money. We've seen it. I don't think that that's a tacky or overstating thing to say. People are willing to lie for money and sell things for large amounts of money because they're just seeing so much money being offered to them that they can't say no, and they're willing to kind of trade their integrity for that. There really isn't that happening in the YouTube beauty space anymore because nobody has a big enough influence and big enough of a following, and people really understand the nuance of makeup a lot more now, that, and also the younger audience really is over on TikTok, the younger, more impressionable audience. Most people who are watching beauty content on YouTube are wise to the history and the way that, you know, Morphe was sold to the masses kind of thing, that no one is having that thing happen to them now that Marlena was talking about in her, like, you know, the truth video about like that beauty creators are demanding $65,000 to talk about an eyeshadow. You could demand it. No one would ever talk to you again. They'd be like, she's crazy. And I don't use that word lightly. Like that would be a really, really like poor decision to try and demand that kind of money. Like no, that kind of money's not changing hands on beauty YouTube anymore. It just isn't. And so the idea that there's only so much room at the top doesn't really apply anymore because it isn't about you getting this like $60,000 sponsorship over your friend getting this $60,000 sponsorship. Like we're all just kind of out here doing an honest day's work. We're really trying to. And so it's a combination of like growing into the maturity of appreciating my channel for what it is, but also the way that the platform has evolved over time and been less sensationalized, that there is not just room for everyone, but also it really thrives on the diversity of opinions and the fact that the beauty industry then becomes accountable to you. It becomes accountable to, you know, us as kind of the microphones for you to be able to say like, this is what the community is asking for. These are the standards to which these makeup items need to rise. This is the kind of thing that we're willing to spend our money on, and this is the thing that we're not willing to spend our money on. These certain things are unacceptable. And being more part of a community in that respect has made it so that like I said, the diversity of voices in the community is so vital to being able to pass back the demands of the human beings actually buying the makeup and using the makeup. Again, the beauty companies become accountable to us rather than the other way around. Accountable to you rather than the other way around. That is why I think that thinking about your fellow beauty creators, if you are a small creator or large creator or whatever, thinking of your fellow creators as competition is the worst mindset that you can be in. It's only going to do you a disservice. The more community that we can create, the more that we can learn to appreciate the differences between us, the better this place is going to grow. Because I will say, even when the beauty community was much, much larger, it was a toxic place. And I personally feel like for the people who I know that I consider my coworkers and my cohorts in this space, this is a really open place. It's a really welcoming, positive, supportive environment. The people that I am friends with in this community, my coworkers, they're the kinds of people that I love being inspired by. I love being able to celebrate their successes. And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm such a big person for this, but like, Hannah just put out a poetry book. Okay, it's like her lifelong dream. Like, I'm not gonna sit here and be like, well, I didn't put out a poetry book. Really? Like, really? No, we're in a completely different space than we used to be. We're not sitting here clamoring for like a very small amount of opportunities. We're out here, again, doing an honest day's work, being ourselves on camera, doing the things that we're passionate about to the best of our abilities within the limitations of the algorithm, right? Supporting one another because we're all doing cool stuff. We're all doing cool stuff off camera. We're all doing cool stuff on camera. We're all getting opportunities that are so tailored to what it is that we specifically do and what we specifically enjoy that, yeah, that is the ultimate trend that needs to be left in 2023 is competition in general, because it's stupid. Here's the thing, there is no competition. If you as a creator are thinking of other creators as your competition, that's in your head. You're creating that. So just let it go, because there's a whole world of supportive, incredible people out here. You know, I just sent Ted my old camera. I was like, Sagittarius season, it's your birthday. Have my Rebel T5i. I just want to see his channel grow, you know? To me, what enriches this space is the more diverse voices that we can get. I just want to see it grow in that respect. I think that there is kind of a cool, maybe second wave. I don't even want to call it like what we're in a wave right now. I do feel like it's a lull, and in kind of a nice way. We're all just kind of like over here like, my YouTube really, really nice. You know, like it's just kind of this quiet space right now. But if we see another wave of sensation, like maybe, you know, a bunch of TikTokers migrate over here or something like that, I want to think that the place that people would find in the beauty community is a place where everyone feels like they can find a place where they belong without animosity. It's just makeup, y'all. And yeah, makeup can get political, but there's no reason to fight within ourselves about it. That is such an unnecessary waste of energy, and it is only going to improve the entirety of our experience on this platform for us to support one another. The Kardashian look. Okay, and here's the thing. I know what everybody's thinking. They're like, oh, the Kardashians change their look every 5 minutes. What do you mean the Kardashian look? Because it probably draws something different to mind any era that you're watching the Kardashians, because especially Kim, but all of them, they're just really iterating on themselves all the time in a way that I don't feel like is coming from a place of like artistic inspiration all the time. I think a lot of times they're feeling a sense of terror of being left behind by trends, and so they kind of are the victims of like the next cool thing all the time. And let me tell you, I'm 36 and it's exhausting. Kim's like 41, 42. I'm like, it's gotta be absolutely exhausting to try and like stay cool, stay young, stay energized, and continue to iterate on the Kardashian look. So when I think of the Kardashian look as something that I want to leave in the past, I think of actually a moving target. Okay, that's the Kardashian look, is a moving target of changing your entire body for trends. It's like you have so much money that you don't have limitations. You need to start having some like mental boundaries so that you don't lose yourself. I've had like small changes to my appearance, right? I've had like my lips done a few times over the course of 6 years, or had, you know, Botox, or I got my teeth done or whatever. Those small, you know, by relative standards, especially compared to the Kardashians, those small changes to my appearance, like it takes a minute for you to adjust. Like I got my teeth done and it opened my jaw up, and like, you know, I used to have like a shorter jaw, and so like my whole head shape changed. It's just like the proportions of everything changed. And I will say, like, it was an adjustment. Anything like that is an adjustment. And so it's so easy to lose yourself when you're changing so rapidly, to adapt to things that like you almost feel this kind of social responsibility to adapt to and to chase after, because you literally represent the zeitgeist. Like you are not the voice of the zeitgeist, but you're like this placeholder for the zeitgeist. They're like barometers for the zeitgeist, for the public conversation. And to have that many eyes on you, it's going to distort your perception of yourself. And then constantly making all of those changes to yourself, to your body, it's going to continue to just, I literally don't know how they do it and stay even somewhat sane. I could never experience that much change in my appearance so constantly. I don't know, I would like lose my grip on reality. So I think that trying to take the idea of social media, filters, AI, being the thing that dictates what it is that we think is like beautiful or should be attainable, and just put it on the shelf and say like, it exists, it's gonna exist, but it's not for me. And I have to totally agree on that. Like, I don't want their life. I don't want their mentality. I don't want the trappings that come along with being under that much attention, that much scrutiny, and having unlimited wealth to be able to chase down those aesthetics with. Because what it does is it leaves you with this idea that like all you are, and I don't want to speak for them, but I would feel like I would become only the amalgamation of whatever I looked like at any given time. Like what's on the inside, it'd be hard to kind of keep sight of that. And so I know we talk abstractly about the Kardashians, but again, it's all very abstract because they have multi-millions of followers on social media, which is actually like the richest that you can be, is to have that much influence in our current society that I'm sorry, you can't just think of them as human beings. I watch the show and I do think of them as human beings when I'm watching the show, but they're also entities. They are digital entities with power and influence, and they are this thing that's outside of the human experience. They are an abstract kind of social entity. And in that sense, yeah, like, I don't want to be chasing the next filter. That is the kind of thing that, honestly, it starts to just completely occupy every waking moment.
Hell. That was the word I was looking for. It sounds like being in hell.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. And I hope that my spin on it makes sense, because I do think that the Kardashian look is one that is actually like chasing down a constantly moving goalpost. So hopefully this was fun and grounding for y'all, you know, just being able to kind of open up and discuss these things. I invite your feedback in the comments. I don't know. Thank y'all for getting my brain juices flowing. I love a little bit of a critical thinking chat, and I hope y'all liked this. If you did, do give it a thumbs up. If you want to keep hanging out with me on this channel, cool people, subscribe. Subscribe if you're cool. It would be cool if you did. Thank y'all so much for watching and for hanging out with me today. I love you so much, and I hope you're keeping your brain cells in some kind of calm order during this absolutely gnarly time of year. I know I am clinging to life right now, so you're not alone, and I will hopefully see y'all in the next one. I love you. Bye.